Let's have a conversation.
What's happening, everybody? Good morning. It's Friday. I hope that all of your weeks have gone well. My week has gone pretty good. We're at the end of the week. I say this pretty much every Friday or end of the week. If your week did not go well, you're still here. You made it through whatever trials and tribulations and struggles you might have had for the week. And we're about to turn the page to a new week and a new year in a couple of days. So you have a chance to make it right. You have a chance for things to improve and get better. So I wanted to talk a little bit about my fitness year in review and my fitness journey. I was going to have some pictures and I was going to have some videos, but I feel like I've provided enough of that stuff for you guys to just look back. I have a fitness playlist of all these different things I've done with fitness. So I just wanted to talk for this video. That's it. My year began, I think at the beginning of the year, I was about 218 pounds, something like that. So when I had showed you guys my pictures and videos from the other day, from when I had my trainer on here, that was from an earlier time period. The previous year, I was almost 240 pounds, but I had already taken off almost about 20 pounds before this year began, and I was at about 220 pounds, something like that. And I remember I got sick at the beginning of this year, more than a couple of times. From January till about maybe end of March, I would be sick as a dog for like a week, and then I would be good for a few days, and then I would be sick again. And I actually said to myself, because this was a really depressing time, being sick all the time, being physically sick. And I was like, man, somebody just trying to take me out, because this is just crazy. I've never been sick this often. And I was taking COVID tests. I never tested positive for COVID, but I was having really, really bad symptoms throughout the first 3 months of this calendar year. But I stayed consistent with what I could do. I kept my nutrition good. And when I say good, I had a plan mapped out, and I was eating according to that plan. Hi, Shelly. Good morning. So I was eating according to that plan. And I was like, okay, at a certain point, the sickness is going to stop, hopefully. It's a scary thing to not feel in control of what's going on with your body. But that's honestly where I was. I didn't feel like I was in control of what was going on with my body at that point in time. But come April, when the sickness stopped and I started to feel good again, and my injuries that I had from the previous year were starting to heal up, I was like, I'm on all systems go from here. Good morning, Sheena. The point of me wanting to make this video is to kind of talk to you guys about how this has been a struggle for me, because at the point in time of when most people started following this page, which was about end of August of this year, was a really good time where my fitness was really good and everything was just on fire from there. So you've seen kind of the easier. I'm not going to call it easy, but I'm also not going to lie and say that getting from where I am now and fine-tuning and refining my goals is the same kind of struggle as getting out the bed and having a hard time even thinking about fitness and eating right and all that kind of stuff. The struggle at the beginning is not going to be the same as your struggle towards, I don't want to say the end, but I'll say when you're in the thick of things, right? So the very beginning, I was somebody who for years, my weight, I was just used to it going up and down significantly every year from the time I first hit my early 20s or so until now. It was just like I knew that every year during this time period, the winter, I was going to gain 30 to 40 pounds guaranteed. And then May, June, July, August, September, I was going to lose those 40 pounds. And it was just going to keep going like that. I gain them in the winter. I lose them in the summer, gain them in the winter, I lose them in the summer. I was tired of that formula, but I just felt like it's inevitable. So the thing that happened for me that was different was that at a certain point, I stopped losing them in the summer. I would gain the 40 still, that was consistent. But then I would lose 30 over the summer. Then I would lose 25 over the summer. Then I would lose 20 over the summer. The gain of weight was consistent, but the loss of the weight started to slow down. My metabolism started to slow down. And I'm like, this formula is not working for me anymore. Because I used to be somebody who I could do whatever and eat whatever and just exercise my way out of it. You know, like it doesn't matter if I make poor choices, if I'm not exercising right now, if I put on a little extra weight, extra fat, I can just run around, do some extra cardio, and it's going to just melt right off because of the extra cardio. And good morning, Shai. At a certain point, that stopped happening for me. That stopped happening for me. And maybe a couple of years ago was really when it became really pronounced. And then the pandemic and the lockdown, where we were in our houses, we couldn't leave the house unless we were essential businesses or whatever for 3 to 4 months. That compounded everything. And I just felt terrible. So going into the beginning of the year, like I said, I was sick for the first few months. And then in April, I was like, you know what? Now that I feel well, now that my injuries are like 80 to 90% better than they were last year, I'm all systems go. I want to put my body to the test and see what I could do. I didn't know what I could do because I had never pushed my limits as much as I have done this year. So I started entering into these fitness competitions. I had done them before. I've been doing them for years. I think the first one that I ever did was probably 2015 or 2016. So I've been doing them for at least 5 or 6 years at this point. But for me, I was excited for those competitions just to get to the starting line and reach the finish line. It didn't matter how much time it took me to do it. It didn't matter how much of a struggle it was. As long as I could complete it, that was the only thing that mattered for me. So my trainer eventually said to me, you know what, Mark? You do all these fitness competitions, but you have never told me that one of your goals is to get better at the competition and to optimize your results at the competitions. As he told you guys on here, if you saw my last live interview with my trainer, and if you didn't, go check that out. Live conversation with Lord. It's on here. So he was like, I'm going to create a training plan for you that is specifically catered towards getting you better at these competitions. And I thought, oh, that's cool. That's dope. That's perfect. Not realizing that it was going to highly change the intensity of my fitness regime. But it's good for somebody like me because you have to have a reason behind your goals. Anybody, you could go to any trainer and anyone can give you a fitness plan. Do this stuff at the gym, do this stuff outside of the gym, eat this and do this. And if you don't find any kind of enjoyment out of what you're doing, you're going to do that thing for a limited amount of time, period. And I'm saying that as somebody who has gotten many fitness plans and worked with many trainers and had the same kind of up and down results that I'm talking about. So the first thing that he started doing was implementing a running day. When he told me he was going to add a running day into my schedule, I was like, I know you guys see me run, but have you ever really heard me say, I love running? I enjoy running? I mean, you might assume that because you see me running all the time, but running is a means to an end for me, because the reason running was added into my training schedule was because the fitness competitions that I do require you to have a certain level of endurance. And running is honestly the best and the main way that the best people and the top finishers get that endurance on, to get those runs in. So that's the main reason why I started doing the runs. And when I first started doing those runs, God, they were hard. They're still hard now, but God, they were hard. I showed you guys the video of me running. I think I have the video. That's why I paused for a second. I think I have the video here. Give me 1 second. Yeah, as that's uploading, the running was very difficult for me. Let me see this comment here. Never heard you say you run loving. LOL, I miss running. It's great for endurance. Yeah, I don't. That's why nobody will have heard me say it, because I definitely don't. But it's a means to an end. Sometimes you have to do things that you don't necessarily love to get towards the things that you want. And I know that's counterintuitive to me saying, hold on 1 second. I know that's counterintuitive to me saying you have to enjoy the process, or you have to enjoy parts of the process in order to continue with it. But the thing is, there are still going to be parts of the process that you don't enjoy. That's what I'm getting at. I enjoy more of what I do than not enjoying it. And by that, I mean, I do this training, I do this running, I do this hardcore calisthenics and body weight training, and sometimes weight training, and all that stuff is the hard part. But the enjoyable thing that I do is to consistently put those races into my schedule, because I really enjoy that. Those are 20 minutes, 30 minutes, an hour, 2 hours, however long it takes, of just grind that shows me where my work has led me to, or what kind of results that I'm getting out of my work. Let me put this video up real quick.
Come on. Come on. Faster, faster, faster. Don't lose it. Don't lose it. You got to get all the way down with the burpee. Chest to the floor. Chest to the floor. Come on.
You are. It does not look the same, and it shouldn't. So had you not quit, where would you be right now? What does consistency look like on your life? Do you keep going just when you're winning?
Yeah. So those first couple of videos were toward the earlier side, when I was trying to take the weight off. And running is one of the hardest things to do in general, but especially when you're not in shape. There's no other way that I could say it. I was not in shape, was not in good shape, and I was trying to do this cardio, and my legs were hurting. I actually even had a hamstring injury, if I remember correctly. Like, I was running, and one time I got towards the end of my run, and I'm like, oh, I feel good. I'm going to speed up. And speeding up, like, pulled a muscle in my hamstring. And that took like a month or two to heal. So it was a rough time. But what I wanted to talk about was something that I mentioned in my video of my live conversation with my personal trainer. Finding my why set my goals on fire. Prior to 2021, because I didn't find my why this year. This year was just refining my process. But prior to 2021, all of my fitness goals were honestly aesthetics. I just wanted to look good. Nothing else, nothing more, nothing less. I'm like, I want to get some strong arms. I want to have some strong shoulders, back, chest. I want to have flat 6-pack abs. That was my whole motivation for gym from the time I was like 14 or 13 when I first lifted a weight in the gym to age 33 or so. 33 going on 34 last year. That was my main reason for doing fitness that whole time. And I got the best and the most results when that stopped being my primary goal. My primary goal. So you guys know, because I've been talking about my dad's current condition that he has. And it's one of the roughest things that I've had to see, witness, experience in my life, if not the worst, because as a parent, you see them, and at one time they were very active in terms of moving around. He was somebody who traveled all the time, someone who jumped in the car, jumped on the plane, went all over the world and did all this stuff. And now he is curled up, he's curled up in a bed, not able to move, talk, walk, none of that stuff. And he's not that old. So my why actually became, I've used him as motivation for a couple of reasons. One, just being able to do some of the things that he's no longer able to do. But number two, thinking about health in general and thinking about the fact that, now I'm young. Now I'm able to do all these different things and races and runs, exercise and all that. But if I don't take care of myself now, where am I going to be in 30 years? I have a family background and history where several people in my family had strokes. And there are people that have different philosophies. Some people are like, oh, that's just inevitable. If it happened to all those other people, all your uncles and your aunts and this and that, it's going to happen to you. And then there's other people, which fortunately, I've spoken to a lot of people, doctors and people in the medical field. And they say, yes, having a genetic predisposition for something, for some kind of medical condition, does increase your likelihood of getting that same condition, but it doesn't mean that you have to go there. But it does mean that if you make the same choices with your physical fitness and with your nutrition choices and all that, you are more likely to get that same condition than the average person is. So I said to myself, I want to have the least percentage of chance of ending up in that bed if I make it to that age. I don't want to be in the same kind of condition as him or my other relatives who have been in similar positions. I want to be able to always use my whole body. You know, I want to be able to lift my arms. Little things like this that we take for granted. Forget about lifting weights and doing sets and doing reps. You know, I put videos of that stuff up all the time. Half of that is honestly just to keep my page running, to keep the lights on, as they say, and to keep the numbers up and the algorithm up. But I don't need to post that stuff for any other reason besides that. Not every day anyways. I like posting things like that mainly when I'm doing something out of my norm, which is, you know, getting to one of those competitions and competing and that type of stuff. But I don't necessarily love posting my daily routine all the time for that. But my whole point of that is I was there every step of the way as my dad lost his physical abilities. I was there after his first stroke where his one side became weaker than the other side. And he had to do all this rehab, physical therapy, occupational therapy. There's people out there who are going to know exactly what I'm talking about. They've had a parent or relative who's been through that, or maybe they've even been through that themselves. Physical therapy, occupational therapy, as I said, exercising. I watched him work really hard to regain as much of that back as he can. Then another stroke happens. Then it's like, now standing becomes difficult. Now we're using the walker. Now we're walking around with the walker. Now the foods have to be cut up. You know, I'm not even going to continue to go into the details because it's a tough thing. Let's just say that. It's a tough thing to watch somebody have that kind of decline. So I don't take for granted the fact that I'm here talking to you guys. The fact that, you know, I can move my fingers. The fact that I can lift my arms up and down. The fact that I can, you know, move my legs. I can stand up. I can sit down. I can move around. I want to be able to do that for the rest of my life. True. My dad has had several strokes, so I can relate to that. Him not fully functioning, half his body is very difficult. Thankfully, he regained it. But he's had more, and it gets harder each time. I've experienced the same thing with my grandfather, Mark. I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah, and I actually experienced it to a degree with my grandfather too. I wasn't living with him, so it was a bit different, but I experienced it to a degree with him. Yeah, and it's a very tough thing. So like I said, I always want to be able to have a sharp mind. I always want to be able to think clearly. I don't want to end up with Alzheimer's, dementia. I know that there's nothing that we can do. Unfortunately, it's a tough world, and there's nothing we can do to like 100% prevent these types of things. But I want as high as a percentage of a chance as I can. And that has been my motivation for changing my diet, for getting very serious about my commitment to both my nutrition and my physical fitness. I don't view physical fitness as an optional thing anymore. Now, I never really viewed it as optional in a sense of I've always loved exercising. I've always loved sports and stuff like that. So I'm not going to say that I was not somebody who did any exercise and I started doing exercise. No, I've been doing exercise since I was a little kid. I was on all the sports teams and I just loved physical exercise. But when I became an adult and I started having to go to work and I started having to experience the stress of having that kind of schedule and routine, wake up in the morning, alarm clock wakes me up and I'm like, oh, hit the snooze button. But I'm like, I have to pay the bills. And then I have to go to this dead end job that I don't like. And then I go into work, I deal with bosses and coworkers and angry clients. And then I have to do all this stuff on the computer, do all this different stuff, and then come home and then feel like, and then have errands that I have to complete, but I'm tired from work. And then maybe I squeeze in all the errands and then sit down, watch a couple of things on TV, and then it seems like it's nighttime, close my eyes, open my eyes, and it's back to work. And then it's like you have other obligations. You can have family obligations in between that. You can have responsibilities. You can have even good things like celebrations that you're attending for people or just your regular social life that's going on. You add that in there. Where's your time for exercise then? And where's your time for nutrition? There's not going to be an extra time. There's not going to be an extra time. You have to actually specifically make the time. And that's what I was getting to. This year, 2022, I considered fitness and health my full-time job. What happens when you go to a job? You sign the contract and you're like, I have to do this in order to get paid. If I don't do this, I'm either not going to get paid or I'm going to get fired. I've been saying for the last couple of months, that's where I coined the term, I clocked in. When I get to the gym or when I get to whatever workout that I'm doing, I say clocking in. And then I have to do my job when I get in, clock out. If you clock into your actual 9 to 5, right? And you don't do the job, you clock out at the end of the day, you stand the possibility to get in trouble, get paid docked, or get fired. So why would you do all the work of getting yourself to the door, clocking in at the gym, and then not completing everything that you were supposed to do when you get in there, and then just clocking out and leaving? The pay that you get for meeting your metrics of what you're supposed to do is your health. What better pay is there than that? So I consider health and fitness now like a job. And let's be honest about a job for most people. Most people don't like their jobs. And even if you do like your job, you got so many things going on with life in general that there's a lot of days where you have things going on in your life that you have to push to the side and be like, between the hours of this time to this time, I have to do a job. You wake up in the morning, you don't really want to do it. You don't really want to do it. I've started to tell myself when I wake up for the gym and I don't want to go to the gym, but I have it on my schedule, gym, 6 p.m., 6 a.m. or whatever, I'm like, it's your job, Mark. And if you don't get up and do your job, you don't get paid. So I forced myself to get up, same way that I would for my job. Force myself to get up. I force myself to get out of bed. You got a job to do. I literally, as funny as this might sound, I act like I'm putting on my hard hat, pants, and my boots before I walk into the gym. And I'm like, time to get to work. Time to get to work. And it helps me because I'm like, that tells me, forget your feelings. Forget your feelings about being here. Forget the fact that you're tired and you wish that you could just get some extra Z's. You don't feel like it today. Your body's telling you, I don't really want to be here. You got a job to do. And the thing that I'm thinking about with the job is the payment. The payment is to be able to use my body as long as I possibly can, free of illnesses, diseases, anything that would hinder me being able to function optimally, physically and mentally. That's the pay. And the thing that I found from finding that why and finding that new motivation is that the aesthetics came better than they had ever been before. With the exception, of course, of when I was obviously really young and I didn't have to work for it. But in my adult life, best that it has ever been. Best that it has ever been. And like I said, the why set everything on fire. I'm at the point right now where if I set out to do something and I say, I have to run Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, which is my current schedule, and then I have to do weight training Tuesday, Thursday. If I miss one of those days, I don't feel good missing a day. I've missed probably 1 to 2 gym days this whole year. Wow, that's crazy. I just thought about it. I think I probably missed, I'll say less than 5, because I can't recall the whole year like that, but I'm sure that I have missed under 5 scheduled gym days or exercise days this whole year. My nutrition hasn't been perfect, but 80% good, 20% bad. It's been more good. It's been much more good than bad. I learned about timing, portion control, planning for when you have to go to functions and be around other people. But the main thing that I got out of 2022 is the mindset. The mindset of, I'm doing this for a reason, and that reason has to be my driving force from now to the end. Because I remember when I finally got back under 200 pounds, which was like the beginning of this year. I had been over 200 pounds for about 4 years. And I had only previously been there one time in my entire life. And I just barely creeped over 200 pounds. And then I went furious in the gym and lost the weight really quick. But this time, in about 2018, when I put it on, I started to try to run it off, outrun it, and it wasn't coming off. And it stayed on for like 4 years. And I was like, well, I guess this is my new baseline. It's never going to go, never going to get it off. So this year, when I had finally gotten under 200 pounds, early in the year, I was like, it's probably going to come back. I'm glad that I'm here now, but I'm probably going to balloon back up at some point. It was the mindset. Now, all the different steps that it took me to get to where I am today, it's not going back. The one other thing that I'm going to say really quick was making my goals specific changed the game. Because now, instead of saying, I want to be in the best shape of my life, I was saying I want to reach 200 pounds by January 14th. Reach the 200 pounds or reach close to the 200 pounds. Then I'm like, okay, by March 1, I want to be 190 pounds. Okay, so I worked for it, planned for it. Making your goals specific makes a big difference. And then holding yourself accountable for that also makes a difference. And lastly, I'm going to say the last little bit that I needed to lose, because I had an ultimate goal of 180 pounds, which is where I am now. The extra little spark of motivation that I needed, I got from all of you on this page. Because when I started posting up the stuff that I was doing on the page, I was like, now I have almost 1,900 accountability partners who are going to check me out on the page. Some of them for the reasons of wanting to see me reach the goal, and some of them for the reasons of wanting to see me fall off track. But either way, I use both sources as motivation to get to that goal. I can't be somebody who talks about things that I am not doing myself. I can't be somebody who is advertising fitness all the time, but I'm not staying true to my own personal fitness journey. So thank you all for that. And I hope that you've been able to take some kind of inspiration from me, as I have from all of you. I don't just post all my fitness stuff just to show you guys what I can do. And that's the whole purpose of me being on here right now. Giving you this explanation of how my year went from beginning to end. I reached my peak fitness goal that I had for myself in terms of weight and conditioning on my birthday. That was the goal I set for myself, which was October 2nd. That was one of the greatest birthdays I've ever had. I did fitness on my birthday. It's not the first time, but it was the best time. And I reached the goal. And this year I can say that I am very happy with where I started and the journey that I went on and where I am now as I'm closing out the year. I finished my last workout for this year, not exercising on the 31st. I'm done for the year. I'm probably going to have Sunday off as well. And get to those goals. If you didn't reach it this year, that's okay. We all have up and down years. Last year was a down year for me. And this year I got it together. So if this is your down year, let 2023 be the year that you get it together. You're definitely giving me a lot of inspiration, Mark. Thank you. You're welcome, Shai. You always inspire me. Thank you, Shelly. And I hope everyone has a great day. I will talk to y'all soon.